What's up, everybody? It's JT Sportsman back, you guys, with another video. This video I'm here with players the Denver Broncos should look to target in free agency. So the Denver Broncos, they have a lot of money to spend in free agency. And they finally found their quarterback of the future, Andrew Luck. And he is now their franchise quarterback going forward. And I really like what I saw of Drew Lock, man. And he has a really good arm, man. So for the Denver Broncos, what they do in free agency could determine what they do when the 2020 NFL season kicks off in September. Because I believe the Denver Broncos could end up surprising a lot of people and end up making it into the playoffs, depending on the signings and free agent acquisitions that they get. So a few needs that the Denver Broncos do need. They need a wide receiver. Well, they actually need two wide receivers. They need a slot receiver, and they need another outside wide receiver that can complement Courtland Sutton. Now, Courtland Sutton did make it into the Pro Bowl from 2019, so they have a stud in him. Now they just need a wide receiver that can line up on the opposite side of him and complement him. Then they also need a good slot receiver as well. So for the Denver Broncos, basically their biggest need on the offensive side of the ball is a wide receiver. Help out Drew Lock, give Drew Lock a couple of more targets to throw the football to. And on the defense side of the ball, they need a good cornerback. So for some reason, they are not going to end up bringing back Chris Harris for some reason. Like, that's really weird to me because, I mean, they had the money to pay Chris Harris. I'm just trying to figure out why they haven't done so because, I mean, Chris Harris is one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. He's probably the most underrated cornerback in the NFL. He's a top 5 cornerback, and the Denver Broncos, for some reason, have not been able to reach a long-term deal with him. So if they do want to bring him back, it will have to be in free agency, or they could end up franchise tagging him. I don't really know, but I'm really trying to figure out the issue with them trying to figure out a long-term deal with Chris Harris. I don't know if they don't think that he's worth the money that he's asking, because he is, and it really shouldn't be a big issue forking out the money because they have the cap space to pay him. So they need another cornerback, and they probably could use another safety as well, because safety was a little bit of a hole as well. So the first guy that I believe the Denver Broncos should look to target in free agency is A.J. Green. Now, it is rumored that the Cincinnati Bengals are looking to franchise tag. I'm going to try to keep A.J. Green long term, but there's also some rumors coming from A.J. Green's camp on his side that he wants out of Cincinnati, that he doesn't want to play for the Cincinnati Bengals anymore. So depending on what happens with A.J. Green, I most likely think that he probably will end up leaving Cincinnati, because there's really nothing left for him to do in Cincinnati. Let him try the ring chase. And I think the Denver Broncos would be a good fit for A.J. Green. Now, A.J. Green is 32 years old, but A.J. Green still has a lot of good football left in the tank. I still think that he has 4 good years left of good caliber play. And pair him up with Courtland Sutton in the Denver Broncos, you will automatically give yourself one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. Now, A.J. Green, he is coming off of a couple of injuries, so that's a good thing for the Denver Broncos. So you don't have to pay like a great big contract to a guy like A.J. Green. You can pay him around like $20 million. Maybe you can get away with paying him like a 3-year, $30 million contract, and that'll be a good pickup for the Denver Broncos. Now, if the Denver Broncos don't want to go the route of A.J. Green, they could go after wide receiver Amari Cooper. Now, Amari Cooper is going to end up leaving the Dallas Cowboys, because the Dallas Cowboys, they have a lot of cap space as well, but they probably got to end up franchise tagging Dak Prescott. They also probably going to try to bring back Byron Jones, something like that. So Amari Cooper is most likely going to end up being a free agent. Now, Amari Cooper, in my opinion, if Amari Cooper is available in free agency and you got to choose between A.J. Green and Amari Cooper, I would choose Amari Cooper, because Amari Cooper is a lot younger, and I think you get a little bit more upside at Amari Cooper, simply for the fact that he hasn't really dealt with a lot of injuries over the last couple of seasons that he's been a Dallas Cowboy, and I think he'll be a pretty good pickup for the Denver Broncos. Like I said, him and Courtland Sutton, he will automatically give Drew Lock to one of the best receiving duos in the NFL. So I think Amari Cooper, man. Amari Cooper is a guy who can also catch the deep ball. He's also a guy who can move the chains as well. And that's what the Denver Broncos are looking. They're looking for either a guy who can be a good deep threat, or a guy who can line up on the outside and complement Courtland Sutton. And I think Amari Cooper can end up filling both of those needs for the Denver Broncos. Now, moving on to the second receiver need that they need another slot receiver. So I think a good slot receiver that they should look to target is wide receiver Taylor Gabriel. Now, Taylor Gabriel just got released by the Chicago Bears a couple of days ago. And, I mean, his production really got halted by how limited Mitchell Trubisky is as a quarterback. I think if Taylor Gabriel plays with a legitimate quarterback, he can end up putting up some good, solid numbers. Now, 2019 had 353 receiving yards, 21 receptions, and 4 touchdowns. Now, most of the buck of those 353 receiving yards came from that big breakout game that he had And other than that, I think Taylor Gabriel would be a good fit for the Denver Broncos because, one, he's not going to the man a huge salary. Taylor Gabriel is a guy who probably end up giving him like a 3-year deal for like $12 million or $16 million. So you're going to get a pretty solid slot receiver when he's healthy. And I think Taylor Gabriel would be a pretty good pickup for the Denver Broncos because he is a guy who could be a very good deep threat. And we never really saw him fulfill how good he could be as a deep threat with the Chicago Bears for the fact that Mitch Trubisky is a limited quarterback. He can't really throw the football downfield. And when he does try to throw the football downfield, it ends up going all over the place. And Mitch Trubisky really halted Taylor Gabriel. So I think Taylor Gabriel with Drew Lock and that offense, the way Drew Lock likes to throw the football downfield and as good as the arm that he has, I think Taylor Gabriel could end up being a really good pickup for the Denver Broncos. And also you could probably get him for a pretty good deal. And I think Taylor Gabriel, even if he doesn't go to the Denver Broncos, he'll be a steal in free agency, man. He'll probably be one of the biggest bargains in free agency because I think Taylor Gabriel brings you a lot of good upside. He's probably one of the better slot receivers in the NFL. Now, another wide receiver that the Denver Broncos could look to target in free agency if they don't want to bring in Taylor Gabriel, they could look to bring in Randall Cobb. Now, Randall Cobb for the Dallas Cowboys had one of the best careers or one of the best seasons that he's had as a pro in a very, very long time, man. So in 2019, 828 receiving yards, 55 receptions, and 3 touchdowns as a slot receiver. And I told a lot of people that Randall Cobb was going to be a very key piece in that Dallas Cowboys offense, and he really did. So Randall Cobb is probably going to end up demanding a bigger salary than what a guy like Taylor Gabriel is going to demand, but I think it'll be pretty reasonable. It'll probably be like a $30 million deal or something like that. And Randall Cobb, man, I think he pretty much deserved it because he had a very big year for the Dallas Cowboys, and a lot of people were really underlooking the signing of Randall Cobb considering the fact that he didn't really have that much of a success after 2015 with the Green Bay Packers. So Randall Cobb had a really big career resurgence with the Dallas Cowboys, and he's one of the better slot receivers that we have in the NFL. So I think pair him up with Drew Lock, and if they're able to get a guy like an AJ Green or Amari Cooper in free agency, I think they'll have a pretty good receiving core. And if they're able to get Randall Cobb or another good outside receiver like Amari Cooper or AJ Green, they could end up starting the 2020 NFL season with one of the best receiving cores in the NFL. And he could be an upgrade over Emmanuel Sanders. I think Randall Cobb, when he's fully healthy and he's at his best, could be as good. Well, I won't say he could be as good as Emmanuel Sanders, but he can give you Emmanuel Sanders type of production like we saw this past season. So I think Randall Cobb to the Denver Broncos would be a really good pickup if they're able to make it happen. And also, he's going to demand a pretty minimal salary. I think he'll probably be around the $20 million, $30 million range. But the Denver Broncos have a lot of money to spend in free agency, so I think Randall Cobb would be a really good pickup there. And they should look to try to target Randall Cobb in free agency if he is available. Now, moving on to the defense side of the ball, I think they should go after cornerback James Bradberry. Now, James Bradberry is probably one of the most underrated cornerbacks that we have in the NFL right now. He's put up some really good numbers, and one good thing is that James Bradberry probably won't end up getting a big contract. Now, believe it or not, that's really surprising considering the numbers that he's put up for the Carolina Panthers the last couple of seasons. But he's probably going to end up being a really underrated free agent signing. He's going to remind me a lot of Steven Nelson. When the Pittsburgh Steelers signed Steven Nelson in free agency last year, nobody really looked at it as a big signing. People just looked at it as like, Steelers signed Steven Nelson. Steven Nelson ended up being one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL stat-wise. He was just as good as Stephon Gilmore, only allowed 1 touchdown last year and only 500 receiving yards. So Steven Nelson was a really good pickup, and I think James Bradberry has the potential to be that kind of player for the Denver Broncos and have that kind of an impact, man. So if they're able to sign James Bradberry, he's 27 years old, so he still has a lot of years of good football left ahead of him, and also he probably won't demand that big of a contract as well. So I think the Denver Broncos are able to bring in James Bradberry. I think that'd be a pretty good pickup as well. And the last guy that I think the Denver Broncos should look to sign a free agency is safety Eric Berry. Now, Eric Berry didn't play last year. He ended up taking a year off from football to completely heal up from his injuries. And although Eric Berry is a little bit up there in age, he is still a Pro Bowl caliber safety. He's one of the better strong safeties, or one of the better safeties that we have in the NFL right now. And you also can get him for a pretty cheap deal as well. And the Denver Broncos do need a safety because their safety position is a little bit questionable. Other than Justin Simmons, they don't really have nobody else to fulfill that that second safety spot on the opposite side of Justice Simmons. So I think Eric Berry could come in. He could come in. You get him for a pretty cheap deal. And I think he'll be a really good pickup for the Denver Broncos in free agency. So this is it for players I believe the Denver Broncos should look to target in free agency. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.